They tell you the streets are safer, they tell you the numbers are down, and statistically, they aren't lying. Across the United States, violent crime has dropped by 21%. The national homicide rate is plummeting, but statistics can hide the truth. While the map turns green, there are pockets of resistance. Red zones, specific cities where the trend isn't just flat, it's defying gravity. We aren't talking about the usual suspects. We are tracking a shift, a new mechanism of danger where juvenile joyriding rings evolve into tactical smash and grabs, and where arguments over fast food end in gunfire. These are the anomalies, the places where the safety net is tearing. In this report, we are counting down the 7 specific zones where the data shows safety is failing, and you need to stay until we hit number 1. It's not a coastal metropolis. It isn't a border town. It's a quiet hub in the middle of the heartland that somehow became the only city on our list to spike in all 4 violent crime categories at once. Welcome to the red zone. Let's look at the numbers. Before they look for you, we start on the East Coast. The suburbs, the places where people move to escape the danger. Suffolk County, New York. On paper, the year-end reports try to paint a rosy picture. They'll tell you murders dropped by 55%. They'll tell you it's a victory, but the mid-year data from the Major Cities Chiefs Association caught something else. A sharp, ugly spike in homicides and robberies that bucked the national trend. Why the disconnect? It's the suburban illusion. Police Chief James By pointed out the reality. 82% of the crime here isn't violent. It's property-based. But that is exactly the problem. When property crime saturates a community, fueled by a lingering opioid crisis operating in the shadow of New York City, every burglary is just one confrontation away from becoming a homicide statistic. You might feel safe behind your locked door. But in Zone 7, the threat isn't just walking down the street. It's trying to get inside. And as we head south, the danger stops hiding in the dark and takes over the middle of the highway. Florida, the Sunshine State. But in Tampa, when the sun goes down, the rules of the road evaporate. Statistically, Tampa is safer than the national average. The police force has done incredible work reducing auto burglaries by nearly 30%. But the raw data from the first 3 quarters of 2025 flagged a specific, dangerous surge into categories: rape and robbery. And there is a visible symptom of this lawlessness: the street takeover. Illegal racing rings and coordinated intersection blockades forced police to conduct mass stops over 200 in a single crackdown. This isn't just traffic. This is infrastructure shutdown. When the streets are seized by racers, emergency response times lag. Chaos breeds opportunity for other crimes. It's not just about the robbery statistics. It's about the nights where the pavement literally belongs to the mob, not the residents. But while Tampa fights for control of its roads, our next city is fighting a battle that shouldn't be happening at all: the heartland. Kansas, Wichita is supposed to be steady, consistent. But in 2025, it became an anomaly. While the massive coastal cities saw violence cool down, Wichita saw a jarring mid-year spike in its 2 most critical metrics: murder and sexual assault. The data from the first 9 months showed a city moving in the wrong direction. Now, later reports suggest a correction, a 26% drop as enforcement stepped up. But the question remains, why did it happen? For months, this city was a statistical red flag in the middle of America. It proves that distance from the border, or distance from the coast, is no longer a shield. Safety is fragile. And as we move to Ohio, you'll see how fragile it really is. Because in our next city, the crime wave was started by a hashtag: Columbus, Ohio, a city of industry, a city of progress. But here, the threat has a name. They call them the KIA Boys. It sounds like a joke, a viral TikTok trend, but the reality is a nightmare for anyone who parks their car on the street. A software vulnerability in Hyundai and KIA vehicles turned auto theft into a sport for juveniles aged 13 to 17 in nearby Lorraine, and bleeding into Columbus. These aren't just joyrides, Detectives report that these stolen cars are being used as battering rams. They crash into gun stores. They steal firearms. In one case, 16 weapons hit the street in a single night. The MCCA data shows robbery and aggravated assault rising here in the first quarter. Why? Because a 15-year-old with a stolen car and a stolen gun is a recipe for disaster. The manufacturers are rolling out software patches. The numbers are starting to stabilize, but for thousands of residents, the trust is already broken, but theft is local. Our next threat is international. Los Angeles County, the entertainment capital of the world, but beneath the glamour, it remains a primary engine for a much darker industry. The sheriff's department reported increases in rape and aggravated assault in the first 9 months of the reporting period. The driver? It's the flow of product. Los Angeles is a critical distribution hub for the Sinaloa and CJNG cartels. Fentanyl doesn't just appear in American cities by magic. It moves through corridors like this one. Here is the scary part. Federal data shows fentanyl seizures have actually dropped since their peak in 2023. That sounds good, until you realize why. The cartels adapted. They switched to smaller, harder to detect shipments. When the supply chain gets squeezed, the desperation on the street level goes up. The violence here is the downstream effect of a war being fought thousands of miles away. But while LA deals with organized crime, our next city is dealing with something far more chaotic. Atlanta, the red zone of the South. The raw numbers for aggravated assault here are staggering. Over 3,000 incidents in 2025. But it's the reason for the violence that should terrify you. The police chief calls it escalating disputes. People are losing their lives over arguments about water, French fries, bowling balls. Trivial conflicts that turn lethal in seconds because the gun is always within reach, and there is a system failure fueling the fire. A crisis of the repeat offender. Listen to this statistic. In 2025, just 1,057 individuals were responsible for over 32,000 arrests. Let that sink in. A tiny fraction of the population is committing a massive percentage of the chaos. They get arrested. They get released. They offend again. It's not a crime wave. It's a revolving door. And if you are standing on the other side of it, it's only a matter of time. But we have reached the end of the line. The one city where the data didn't just blink red. It stayed red. Omaha, Nebraska. You don't associate this place with danger. You think of stakes. You think of cornfields. You think of safety. But in the MCCA data covering the first 9 months of 2025, Omaha stood alone. It was the only city on our list to flag a simultaneous increase in all 4 major violent crime categories: homicide, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault, while Atlanta struggled with assaults. And Columbus fought robberies. Omaha faced a perfect storm, a comprehensive breakdown in public safety. Recent reports suggest the murder rate has finally started to correct itself, dropping 40% by year's end. But for those 9 months, the trends defied every national narrative. It proves that no place is immune. If you live here, the national averages don't matter. In the red zone, the only trend that matters is survival. The map is changing. The risks are shifting. I want to hear from you. Which scenario scares you more? The revolving door of repeat offenders in Atlanta, or the random chaos of the KIA boys in Ohio? Let me know in the comments below. Stay safe, stay alert, and I'll see you in the next one.